The numbers. Big numbers that we want to look at. Obviously, the detached housing market is on fire, double-digit year-over-year returns. Same with semi-detached. This is where I think things get interesting because last time we chatted, condo townhouses had the biggest year-over-year growth. But if we look this month, it's like, oh, have things really, really slowed down in the condo townhouse market? And then condos, people are looking like, oh my God, an 8% decline? What the heck's happening? I'm hearing there's all these bidding wars and everything that's going on.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video, we catch up with our local expert for the Toronto real estate market, Emma Pace. So in today's video, Emma's going to break down for us exactly all the craziness that's going on right now in the Toronto real estate market. Quick reminder, link to all of Emma's contact information in the video description down below, but let's jump into it.
All right, guys, we're back with Emma Pace from Toronto. Hey, Emma, how's it going?
I'm doing very well, Matt. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back and talk more about the Toronto market. So where should we start?
So I think we should start before I share my screen here, just by prefacing this whole conversation with things have escalated very quickly since you and I last chatted. So, you know, hopefully there's going to be some people who have seen my last video, and I'm going to reference some of the numbers from the last video in this one here to kind of, you know, give a better kind of showcase of what's happening month over month versus just year over year. But yeah, things have escalated on our end, and I'm excited to kind of share that with people today to get a better understanding of like what the heck is happening with COVID. I think we were kind of curious to see what the seasonality would look like, but it's like someone poured gasoline on the market here. So excited to go through the numbers.
All right, let's jump into the data then, because I definitely want to check this out.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen with you here quickly. Perfect. So, you know, as I said in my last video, I work for a company called Zoocasta, which is a data-driven brokerage. So we release these infographics every month, and these are things that I definitely like to go over with my clients, but I definitely want to showcase to the public as well. So, big numbers that we want to look at. Obviously, the detached housing market is on fire, double-digit year-over-year returns. Same with semi-detached. This is where I think things get interesting because last time we chatted, condo townhouses had the biggest year-over-year growth. But if we look this month, it's like, oh, have things really, really slowed down in the condo townhouse market? I think that's why when I hop into the next slide here, it's going to make a lot more sense for people. And then condos, people are looking like, oh my God, an 8% decline? What the heck's happening? I'm hearing there's all these bidding wars and everything that's going on, but how are prices still relatively low? So I really want to give the viewers a better understanding. These are year-over-year numbers, okay? So these are numbers, you know, based on what happened last January to this January, right? So,
just kind of a reminder for anyone at home, last January, it wasn't the end of the world as we know it back then. It was actually just a normal year. It wasn't really until March of 2020 that, and we can obviously see that on even your chart here, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's a great point, Matt. So you'll notice, I mean, realistically, in and around February, March 2020 was really like the peak of the market, especially for condos, right? So we, you know, if we're analyzing year-over-year numbers, are looking at just prior to the peak of the market last year, right? So yeah, you know, I was in Mexico at this point in time last year, which I definitely don't have any plans to do right now. So things have changed relatively quickly. But what I wanted to do was go back and forth from last month's numbers to this month's numbers, because I think those are more accurate.
Tells a different story.
Data, yeah, and that's exactly what I have up here, Matt, is data tells us a story, but specific data tells specific stories. So I'm super happy that you said that there. Good timing. So I highlighted two specific numbers. One is the detached number. So this graph that we're looking at now is what I shared with you last month. Okay, so this was year-over-year numbers from December 2019 and 2020. So this looks, when we look at this, you're like, oh shit, condo townhouses and semi-detached are crazy. Detached weren't that crazy, and condos were down about 5%. But let's look at specific numbers here. Okay. Detached pricing month over month, you'll see on the side of my screen here, is up 7% from December 2020 to January 2021. This, if we look, the December 2020 number was 1.475 was the average price point. Fast forward 1 month from when we talked last month, The average price point is 1.581. So within 30 days, if you own a freehold house in Toronto, you're up $100,000 in equity position right now, which is bananas.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for people to understand when these when these come out, it's really important to look at this as 15% year over year, semi-detached 20%. If you're just keeping an eye on the market, these are great bird's eye view numbers to look at. But if you're active in the market, you don't need to be looking at year over year. You need to be looking at what's happening month over month, because that's the actual market changes that are happening. So the other point that I wanted to make is right now, I told you, Matt, since you and I spoke last time, the condo market has changed drastically. On my end, I'm starting to see multiple offers are coming back. I told you last time we chatted, we had a little bit of time to search with clients. That window of opportunity is closing and has closed for some people, okay? And I think that's a result of that number that we talked about last month, which was the gap between detached pricing and condo pricing. We talked about that last month, and the number last month was 2.35. In an average market, we usually see that multiple is around 2. So the gap between detached pricing and condo pricing is drastically widening because detached prices are going up $100,000, right? But I think what's important to understand is, this data is showing 8%, an 8% decline year over year, because we were at the peak of the market last February. But if we look at the average price for condos this month in January, it was just shy of 625. And if we look at December's numbers, they were 625 as well. So prices aren't down, prices are flat. And I think, I don't know for sure, but based on what I'm seeing in the market, I suspect that next month we're going to see something similar to this, where it's still down from the peak of the market, but I think we're going to start to see that this actual price point is starting to drive upwards as a result of low inventory and people getting really frustrated with the freehold market, because 7% month over month growth is unsustainable and it's crazy out there.
Yeah, really hard to adapt, and that's why you need to really have your finger on the pulse with this data, because it changes so fast. And I'm sure both you and I can already see that March's data is probably going to look wild year over year, right? Because last March we had the huge drop when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it seems like the market's really starting to heat up.
100%. Yeah. So I think that's critical. Like, especially for any viewers that are watching this video, you got to understand, where are you at in the cycle? Are you someone that owns a property, you have no intention of selling, you just want to know what the heck's going on out there? Yeah, look at the year over year numbers. If you're someone who wants to get in the condo market because you've been reading that there's great opportunities out there and all this kind of stuff, then you need to be looking at month over month data. Because to be completely honest, if you're not working with a specialist like myself, or you're not deep diving into data like Matt does, and you're just looking at this infographic, the info is there, but you might not be looking at the right stuff. And so if you are thinking that prices are down 8% and you're going to get some unreal deal and be able to take your time in today's market, this data does not show that. So you have to be very cognizant of what media sources you're reviewing, because they might not be presenting the data that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's so important, guys, that we understand that there's a huge difference between data and intelligence. And it's really what happens in between is the interpretation of the data into intelligence. So what else do you got for us, Emma?
Yeah, for sure. So just quickly, we touched on this last month. I just want to emphasize, yes, COVID slowed things down temporarily, but you'll notice in every segment of the market, the total number of transactions and trades that are happening are up multiple double digits for each category. And like I said last month, condo prices are down year over year, but we're up 86% in terms of total number of trades that are happening. So the market is very, very active. And I'll just repeat what I said last month. It takes two to tango. There's two people in every side of a trade in order for a transaction to occur. So deals are absolutely happening in the condo market for sure, more so than any other category of property right now.
Yeah, like there's a lot here, right? Like that's crazy, the increase in volume that's going on. And again, we haven't talked about the inventory levels yet, but I can guess what this is doing. And like again, if we were seeing weakness in the condo market earlier, we're probably churning through a lot of that weakness now simply with the volume of transactions occurring. So one thing I would like to point out for people is say in March of last year, when we see a price drop, understand there's a huge volume drop that correlates with that. Where right now, even if you see some weakness right now in the market, understand that the volume is increased so much that we're likely going to burn through any of that inventory relatively fast.
Yeah, so honestly, I think you might be a mind reader because my next slides are completely about inventory. But yeah, I fully agree with you, Matt. As we continue to get into March, April, May, when things were extremely slow, because that was when everyone like legitimately thought you went outside and you were going to get told, right? So nothing was happening. Everyone was like, what the hell? So to see 100% increase over last March, like don't be surprised to see that data because nothing happened last March, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these numbers might even look crazier as we progress into year-over-year numbers from the actual original lockdown. So yeah, let's talk about months of inventory because months of inventory is, in my opinion, the most important metric to understand what the hell is going on out there, right? So quick plug, I told everyone for a long time I was going to do a YouTube channel. I finally made a full video on this. I'm not going to go too in depth, but I did make a full video on what months of inventory means. So let's go over this quickly because I don't know if you agree with me, Matt, but when I look at this and I think about what this means on the inverse, I believe that this period of time is probably the bottom of the market. I don't know for certain, but I think that if we look at this slide, and shout out to Scott Ingram, he's the guy who posts many of these data points and graphs, and I follow him regularly. So if you guys want more information, definitely go check him out on Twitter. But essentially what months of inventory is, it's a measure of how fast all of the existing inventory on the market would last, assuming two things. One, no new listings come to market, and two, how quickly inventory is being eaten up right now. Okay, so basically, if nothing else comes on the market from a new listings perspective, how long would it take for all the existing inventory to get eaten up off the market? Okay, that's what this particular metric shows. And so what we'll see here, if we go back, this is the last 6 months, this black line being freehold and this green line being condo, you'll notice August, we were at about 2.5% for condominiums. I'm going to talk about condos because freehold's been like flat this entire time. But if we look, we start to see this number trend upwards. And when this trends upwards, what this means is that we're going into a more balanced market. So anything at 4 months or less of inventory would be considered a seller's market, meaning like there isn't a whole heck of a lot because if no inventory hits the market, it's only going to take 2.5 months for us to have no more listings, okay? So when we start to see this trend upwards, it means that there's a softening in the market and that things are becoming more balanced. So between, October and we'll say December, it was a very neutral market, very equal playing field for buyers and sellers, lots of negotiating room, all of that kind of stuff. Then we start to see this number trend downwards closer to 1 starting in December. I would expect to see that in any given year, just as a result of people not wanting to move or list their properties in the winter. But if we look, so it starts to drop, and then where it gets crazy is realistically when you and I started chatting last time, right?
Yeah.
And this is when the other lockdown restrictions hit. And I said, I thought inventory would tighten up because no one has anywhere to go. No one can renovate their house. No one wants to put their house on the market unless they absolutely have to. So what I think is crazy about this is as of last week, the condo market has a lower months of inventory number than the freehold market. That's insane to me. That is crazy. We haven't seen that in so long. So that means that shit is happening in the condo market.
Yeah, guys. And even if we look at, even if you factor in the fact that maybe we're seeing an 80% increase in volume year over year, again, like let's back into these numbers. Let's assume that we were looking at double the volume of transactions. we would still be like, if we tried to normalize this 1.3, it's still going to come out to like a 2 or a 2.2, a 2.6 max, which is still actually going to put us right to where we were kind of pre-COVID.
Exactly.
So I really find it very interesting to see these developments, and definitely, I think for those that are trying to predict the market, like these are the data points you need to be looking at to least understand whether we're coming or going.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Like these metrics are finger on the pulse metrics. These are what, like, this data shows us what's happening real time in the market. This data up here shows us what's happening over a longer period of time for us to have a break.
So I think it's beautiful weather also, right? I mean, it slowly started changing now. We can see summer is coming. That's good. It's today is 14, clear sky.
It's the perfect day to be outside.
Absolutely.
Soon we'll be doing these Zoom meetings, hopefully live, but if not, in the parks, right? So
yeah. Well, I mean, COVID has taught all of us a lot, right? We always have to see the positive side of these things. You know, it's not that people have become more and more savvy with this technology. You know, like we are finding different ways to do things, and people, you know, those who lost the job and all that, they find out, they started exploring their own potential and started doing something different. So it's always, there is a, you know, something you learn from any of these, right?
That's very true. All right, since we have
90 people,
91 people now on board, I think we can start. Thank you everyone for being here again on a very early Saturday morning. As usual, it's great to see nearly 100 of all of us on board this. Today we have Gopal Menon here. He is a real estate coach, a wonderful individual. We've had him at our Home Life Brokerage before. He has a lot of knowledge, especially when it comes to the coaching business. And I'm sure Gopal will state all, where he's worked and, some of the experience dealt with. And, one of the main reasons why he's on board with at Home Life Future is to not only educate, but to push us even further, and to understand what we don't know, and to look for things that are not quite common, and to help improve ourselves. Today's topic, today's Kickstart session is going to be, we're going to rephrase it as the Spring Kickstart sessions. We're going to be speaking about prospecting, especially for the spring market that is now in place, and moving to the summer, right? As everyone knows, real estate is hot, hot, hot. There's nothing else in it in the media, and I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to be cooling it down anytime soon. So definitely, Gopal, I'm going to send it out to your side, and thank you again for being on board.
Thank you, Kannan. That's a great introduction, and good morning, everyone. As Kannan mentioned, I really appreciate all of your dedication. And you all are really brave on a Saturday morning. This is the most boring thing you can expect, right? Coming and sitting in a training, and that too, it's a bright and sunny outside. And but I really appreciate it's 100 of them. That's a really, like, you guys are like really dedicated sales guys. So kudos to you all, and kudos Kannan and Selva for bringing all these people on board. So thank you for this opportunity. So as Kannan mentioned, my name is Gopal Menon, and some of you have actually met me a few months pre-COVID. We started this session, couple of 2-3 sessions we ran, and then sometimes around this time last year. And then when COVID started, we actually put that on a hold. And again, now we are restarting this. So personally, I have a corporate background. I work with American Express, and I'm actually a business consultant, global business consultant for that organization. And I've been in the corporate world for the last 20 plus years. I hold an MBA degree. I've done my diploma in project management, and I've been teaching the sales team, and especially focusing on this real estate space for the last 7+ years. for the last 7+ years, I've been in the real estate space. I'm teaching different people. So just keep in mind, when we talk about the real estate, there are two parts of the real estate. One is the technical skills, and the second part is what we call the soft skill. The technical skills is what it is all about, your the regulations, anything related to RICO, like the forms and all the buyer representation forms, the seller representation forms. So those things comes under the technical aspects of the real estate, right? So that is very important. And the second part of the real estate is the soft skill. The soft skill is where the most critical side of the sales aspect. That is where, how do you actually prospect? How do you talk to your customer? How do you do the negotiation? How do you follow up? What's the importance of door knocking? How do you actually resolve a conflict? How do you help a customer to make the decision? You showed 40 houses. How do you help them now, funneling down those 40 houses into one buying home? So that's what we call the soft skill. So just wanted to set the expectation. We are going to focus in the training session, the soft skill of the real estate. That's my expertise comes. Yeah, I can actually, show you the negotiation. How do we have the communication, the importance of time management, and the motivations, and all those where we are going to actually touch on our training program. So a couple of housekeeping. We will keep this very interactive, right? I don't want it to sound very boring. So, and I'm not sitting here as a college lecture standing here and giving the speech. So feel free to stop in between. And you can unmute yourself, I believe, and then ask question if there is. And I will be asking some questions, and I'm expecting a full participation. You can either raise your hands or put a question on the chat box, and then I will make sure to respond that. And also as I said, so let's make it fun for others. So in that way, I don't sound very boring for the next 45 minutes, 1 hour time. So we will make it very interactive on this. All right, so we will kickstart. I'm going to share my screen. I will have Kannan, can I share my screen, please? I think it's.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm just going to put that there for you.
Okay.
I'm just going to make you host, and then you can share it. And I'll take over the host again.
Cool. All right, you all can see my screen? I think so, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so we will talk about prospecting today. What is prospecting and why is it so important in real estate business, and how do we prospect? So that's the topics we are going to actually touch today. And as I said, that we wanted to make sure this is going to be very interactive, and I will be asking some questions. So let me ask this question to you all. How is the market now?
Very hot.
Very hot. Okay. What does that mean?
Seller's market.
Okay. All right.
Confidence in Canadian real estate right now. A lot of buyers are on board to buy. A lot of sellers are on board to sell. Every issue caused by COVID has not actually affected the real estate market as much, and that tells you the confidence in the real estate market in Canada right now. Definitely.
Absolutely, you're spot on. And I think it was Kannan, that is exactly the way you wanted to talk to somebody. When people and the other person, I don't mean to put anybody on a spot. It's just that, this is, again, we are all family now. There's nothing right or wrong answers. So when somebody asks, how's the real estate? People make the mistake of saying that, oh, it's very hot. You don't want it to answer that. So when you say, so if I'm actually talking to you, think about you and I actually sitting in a party, and I'm saying that, oh, I'm a real estate guy. So you're saying that, oh, the market is very hot. So me sitting here thinking about buying an investment opportunity, and I'm thinking, oh, it is hot. So the prices are very high. Me being an investor, will I ever think about buying it? Right? So you don't want it to say, well, either it is a seller's market or a buyer's market, or it is very hot, the prices are expensive. No, that's not what you wanted to say. Actually, Kannan just mentioned it. He articulated very well. And I believe he's practiced that very well. So that is good job on that. So those who, the best way, of course, you need to practice, you take time, and then that's where you actually really respond to that questions. And every conversation is an opportunity for you folks. So your immediate response should be, somebody asks you, how's the real estate? Your answer should be, it depends. Right? When you say it depends, it's actually raises a curiosity in the person who's asking the questions. So what do you mean by it depends, right? So this is where you need to really help them to keep going that conversation. You don't want it to say the market is really hot. So when the person who's thinking about buying, that person thinks that, okay, you know what, I can wait. I'm going to cool this down. Like, I don't want, when somebody is saying that, well, it's a seller's market, then you lost all your buyers then, that minute, right? And so you don't want it to actually, and on the contrary, if you go and tell the seller's market, it's a seller's market, then you are setting at the expectation so high for the seller. The seller is going to say that, oh, so bidding is happening, great. So, and you're going to say the story about, you know what, this house sold for 500,000 over asking, 200,000 over asking. So what are you doing there? You're damaging that seller. You're going to setting the wrong expectation with the seller, and saying the seller, me being a seller, thinking that my house is only 1.4 million, and I'm going to expect that, okay, you sell it for 2 million. Can you actually do that? All right, Delano, do you have a question?
Yeah, so my question is, would you go ahead with giving them market information, or would you kind of ask them, sure, if they tell you the market is hot, you say, sure, what's your perspective right now? What are you looking at? Would you not ask that question first before you share any other information?
So that is exactly, it's an excellent question. That's where my point was. Your job is to keep that conversation going and funneling it down. What is this person trying to do? So when somebody asks that, how's the real estate? You wanted to say that it depends what you want to do. Right? So when you said, okay. Yeah. So your response should be, you absolutely want to give the market information. If you don't give the market information, then you are not an educated sales guy. So that's not what do you have to do. So my point is, you have to keep that conversation going. And your first immediate response is, instead of saying that, okay, market is really hot, or it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market, you want to change that wording. You want to change that, it depends what you want to do. So then that's where that person is asking, so what do you mean by, so then your next question is, so what are you trying to do? Are you planning to sell it? Are you planning to buy it? Or are you an investor? Right? So, and then you, based on that, you give the market information. For buyers, you say that, yes, buyers, it's a great opportunity, and there are a lot of availability. I mean, inventory is less, but the plus side is the interest rate is very low. You have to change that conversation based on the person who's asking the question. If the seller is saying that, you can say that, yes, I mean, if when you say it depends, what are you trying to do? And then he's saying that, I'm planning to invest. He said that, yeah, great opportunity for investors. We have got this pre-construction is coming, or the second sale is coming. The interest rate is so low. So that's why, you have to change that based on the person's need. Did that answer that question, Delano? I think, am I calling you correctly?
That's as close as anyone is getting to get, but that's okay. That's okay. So that is correct. So that means you ascertain what their interest is, and then align your information according to that, as
correct.
Opposed to kind of giving them a ton of things which probably they don't even need to be need to have in their head. Just kind of go with what they want for that time, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, just think for a minute. Like, when and I'm actually, when you are, I'm a sales guy. I'm a real estate sales guy, and you're coming and saying that, and you have it in mind something investing, right? And I'm saying that your market is really hot. It's very expensive, right? I mean, the prices are going skyrocketing. You will not go for that, right? So you don't want it to lose that, and that's the point. That is the way you actually control the conversation. It's just throwing that. It depends what you want to do. That immediately opens up a curiosity for the person who's talking to you, right? So instead of beforehand you giving that the expectation, whether it is a seller's market or a buyer's market and all that, and then you change on the conversations. You know what? Buyers has got great opportunity because mortgage rate is low. So it is a good way to get into the business, though, so that for the next 5 years you can lock it, you enjoy the low rate, you will never be able to go and get it. So that's where it depends, open up that conversation, right? Anyway, so that's good answer. Anyway, there's no right or wrong answer. It is about how you use that the opportunity and how you actually manage that conversation. So prospecting, what is prospecting? I wanted to call this out for you. Real estate business, for any business, in particular with the people's business, like real estate is fully a people's business, and there is a lot of emotional transactions happening in this people when they're buying it, because there are many of the people, it's a dream. So unlike any other sales job, the real estate business, it's a completely a people's business. So prospecting is the backbone of your business, right? The day when you stop doing prospecting, it is almost you will be out of the business very soon. So it's important, no matter where you are in a career in the real estate business, you have to spend some time in prospecting. You probably will do in a different style. Somebody who's actually entering in the real estate business will have to work more, such as door knocking or cold callings, or reaching out everywhere, or do some kind of like they probably will go an extra mile. Not probably, they have to go an extra mile. Or someone who's actually an established real estate guy who may not be doing that to that extent, but still they have to do the prospecting. They still have to get in touch with their customers. They still have to get in touch with their clients and customers, and meet with them and family and all that. It's important to stay in the business. Do you guys know, all those Coke and Pepsi and all those big companies, where do they spend their maximum money? There are two places. One is research and development, which is they're constantly looking for some new product to introduce in the market. The second is the advertisement. You know why? Because the moment when they actually stop advertising, people will forget the product, right? Because otherwise, Pepsi, Coke, and all these things are a very mature product. And a 1-year-old child can say that, what is it for? But at the same time, if you don't see Pepsi's ad or Coke ad or any of the McDonald's ad and all that for at least for 6 months or 1 year period of time, then people will going to say that, yeah, do you remember Pepsi? Do you remember Coke? You change that. So the point being, no matter how well you are doing, how established you are in the industry, in the real estate business, prospecting is your backbone of your business. So what is prospecting? Prospecting is basically you're someone, who's going to buy your product and services, right? Think about that. When if you're opening a restaurant, if you're opening a fast food chain or all that, what is actually you're going to look into that? What is the area? Is it as a residential place, or is it something, what kind of ethnics, whether it is Indian or Sri Lankan or anything, like you will see that, right? I mean, if it's based on those people, the area and all that, based on that, you will open up that food chain or grocery stores or anything like or a cloth. So you need to know who are your target audience, right? So each salespeople, you cannot get all businesses. You have to see certain people will have certain area, and then you need to know that in-depth knowledge of that your audience and who's going to buy your product and services, right? Your who's going to do business, real estate business with you. For that, you need to have that in-depth knowledge about that particular market, right? And understand the sources, like sources and areas and the peoples where the business is going to come. And the most important thing is also knowing your understand your competitors, their strengths and weaknesses, right? And what's your, if somebody actually say that, why do I pay 1% commission or 2% commission and all that, you need to know that when I can get this listing done for $99 or $9.99 or $500, why would I pay $1,000 of 1% commission to you? So it's important what is the competitors are doing and how do you tackle those conversations. And we will cover this, not today, we will cover it during the training, during the commission topic. How do you tackle the commission topics and how do you position yourself when you're answering about the commission questions? Because that's one of the biggest challenge in this industry. So do we have any questions so far? Does making it sense to you all?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. Anyone have any question? I'm not seeing any raised hands here. Okay. All right. So do you know this is the statistics, which is actually, a lot of research has happened and with all industries, you will say that in the real estate business, 48% of the real estate agents never follow up with the prospect. I can bet you, like many of you may not even have actually shared that you got your real estate license, and many of your friends or people from your center of influence, you may not have actually introduced yourselves. Now you are a real estate agent, right? I mean, so you will never actually, and once you actually talk to them and they show some interest, and 48% of the real estate agents never follow up, right? And here is the second one. 25% stop reaching after the second contact, because some of them are some motivated on us, like 50% motivated real estate agents will contact the second time. And then the second time when your prospect is not showing any interest, 25% will stop there, right? And around 12% will make an attempt to the third contact. But remember, 80% of the sales are made only after your fourth contact. The reason is, as I mentioned, real estate is a very emotional transaction. Nobody is going to give their key and tell you to go and sell the house when you talk to them on the first time or the second time and third time. You need to develop the relationship with them. You need to show them the confidence that is, what you're talking. You need to show them, okay, I am capable of selling your property. I'm capable of finding the right property for you. Or if I'm actually helping you to invest somewhere, I can show you the right and how you're going to get the maximum return on investment. That's only going to happen when you meet with the person, when you talk to the person, when you prospect them, follow up with them on the fourth time. It never happens on the first time. So my point here, never stop trying. If you have actually, talking to your prospect, and if you're not getting any response, keep the conversation going, right? So it is important to stay in touch with people. It is important to keep on actually, talk to them. And that doesn't mean, you want to become a nuisance to them, but at the same time, how the conversation is going and stay in touch with them and build the trust with them. Building trust in this business is a very important thing, right? Because that's where people actually going to do business with you. There is a lot of personal information in this real estate transactions. One will have to actually share it with you. Their financial status. Many people are not actually really comfortable in showing how much they're making, what's the salary, how many loans they have. So they don't like to tell anybody, when they meet with them first time. There are a lot of family issues going, husband and wife issues. Maybe wife wants to sell, husband doesn't want. So there are a lot of issues are there. So you have to keep that in mind. Building the trust is where you're going to get their business, right? And that's only going to happen when you actually, stay in touch with them. And that's where the statistics says that 80% of the sales are only made when you actually meet with them on the 4th time onwards. Do you guys agree with this? Those who are actually, I'm sure that not all of them are new, right? I mean, there will be people who are experienced folks in the call.
Yep, definitely agree. We have to be consistent with how we market, with how we convey messages to our clients, and maintain what we do for a very long-term time, so we see the benefits in the years ahead, right?
Right. Right.
Also, I mean, when we are calling the clients, every time we call them, we should be able to offer some new information or something that's relevant to them, as opposed to trying to get them to buy or sell something. It should be a sense of service when you do call them, so they understand, okay, Delano's calling, sure, he wants to sell, but let me hear what he's got to say first, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right. I mean, it's you're educating them, right? I mean, right, Delano? Like, I mean, that's what you actually have to tell them. Like, see, yeah, that's why you don't want to actually always come across as a sales guy. Like, I mean, you're a consultant. What does consultant do? Like, they will educate the customer, right? I mean, they don't actually sell anything. They educate them, and slowly you're, like, they are buying your ideas. Right. So if you're actually talking about, to Delano's point, if when you're actually talking to them, so you're educating whether the mortgage rates are extremely good. The market, the interest rate is going to change, or interest rate is going to actually keep it there. This is the right time to lock it for, for your fixed mortgage rate. That something about that, or you talk about something new, listing is going to come. It's a great opportunity to get in. There is a new listing coming, so we can actually see that it's going to be a great rental opportunity, right? Something like that. Always, when your conversation is always, you're educating them. Okay. So this is the life cycle of the real estate agent, as I just mentioned. So you prospect is just the backbone. Then you present. Present is where, once you actually, the 4th contact, you got the business, and then you actually present. Present is where you basically, doing all the listing or buying, and then, closing the deal, whether it is leasing and on all that, you do deal with all those things. And then you follow up, because your after sales is also some important things you need to actually prepare them and follow up and go back to prospect. So this prospect is an ongoing thing. You cannot actually, once you do 3-4 sales and then thinking that, okay, you know what, I got 100,000 commission check, now let me stop this. It's okay to take a break, but then you have to come back to prospecting and then continuous process. You always have to stay on this circle. So how do you prospect? Prospect is two sets of prospecting. Prospect is, one is the easiest thing is contact people, right? I mean, that's an easy one. And actually, if you're actually new to this industry, new to this job, I think your easiest way is to contact the people you know, because they may not actually put you on a spot, or even if you make mistakes, if they know you, they probably will give you an opportunity. Because it's very tough when you actually contact the people whom you don't know, and if you're not well versed with the industry, for the tough questions to answer, it can actually really damage your career in the future, because you don't get a second opportunity with those people again, right? So it is always practice with the people whom you know. So there is, again, who are the people you know? What we call the center of influence. The center of influence is someone who is really close to you. When you're actually, think about that. When you're celebrating your child's birthday, who are the people you're going to invite? The very immediate friends, right? I mean, that's where your center of influence. They are actually, trust you as a person. They actually come to you when they need you. You go to them. So that's where we call the center of influence. So think about the people who are the center of influence, and tell them, I got the license, what I'm actually looking for your support. You refer me, given opportunities, you talk to them, practice with them. And of course, the friends and families, past career contacts, if you have actually worked anywhere and all that, or as a real estate agent or any other organization. And business networking. Business networking is from, think about all those, your home inspection, the brokerage and the bankers and, and other realtors. Maybe somebody who's actually really an established real estate agents may not want to do an open house, or may not want to do, some clients, they don't want to deal with them. So they will be like, partner with people who are actually really established in your brokerage, those who are actually doing really well. So it's important to, see that what they're doing and offer them help. Definitely, who doesn't want help? Because in the real estate business, it's very tiring. Like, you're actually staying on top of things and paperwork and all those things. So those who are actually new to this career, and find out someone in your brokerage who's really doing well and offer them help, they will really appreciate that. And what are you actually gaining out of that? You're learning and you're getting an opportunity to, know what the other person is showing, and it's actually teaching yourself, right? Any comments on there? Making sense so far? Hope nobody is sleeping.
No, it's great. So far, so good. It's perfect.
Perfect. It's making sense. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone have any question, guys? All right. Okay. So now, so that, one is actually, people whom the second part of the prospecting, this is where you need the expertise. When you're actually going to touch this piece of the business, you have to make sure you are well versed with the industry, right? I mean, especially those who are really, you've been doing at least 2, 3, 4 years of in this job, and they have done multiple listing and buying and all those things. And then you have to actually start contacting with the people whom you don't know. I'm not saying that those who are new shouldn't be doing it. That's not my point. You must do open houses. You must do, door knocking and all that, no matter where you're in the career. But the thing is, if you're doing it, make sure that is know about the industry and how you're going to learn about it. Your every day, at least half an hour, 45 minutes, you spent your first thing in the morning, you should spend time on MLS, right? You need to know that what's happening in the market, how many properties in your areas is actually coming there. You know that when you open up the MLS, you can see that new properties in the Peel region or in your Markham area or wherever you're based in, or wherever you're actually your area, working area. You need to know what is happening in that area. Who's actually getting maximum listing in that area, your particular areas. It's important to know that. What is that person is doing, your competitor? Like, why is that? Just because he's established, or he's the commission cutting, or his service? So it is important to know, to watch that. So you have to spend at least half an hour time in MLS in scanning all those information on a daily basis, what's happening in your market. And of course, staying on top of your interest rate and what's happening in the banking sector and all those things, like the interest rate, you need to actually have that. So once you have that kind of confidence, pick up the phone or start door knocking. Think about it. When you're door knocking, I would say around 100 doors you knock, 99 may not even open. I get it. If one person opens that, and then he opens it and he says that, okay, do you know on the second street there is a houses on a sale? Do you know the price? And you being a real estate guy, you're going to actually look at him and stare at, you don't know. You lost that opportunity there, right? And that's why it is important when you're doing the door knocking. On a previous night, you have to spend time to learn about that area. Which street are you going to pick up? 1 or 2 streets, learn completely about that street. If there is any listing on that area, if there is any listing on that area, what does people want to know? First of all, they want to know the price for that house, which is actually, put on a sale. And they want to know, because that's where they're going to compare. And they also, and people are curious, right? I mean, they want to know that. And if you are in the industry and you're going to knock their door, and if you're not able to give that information to them, you're not leaving a good impression with those folks, right? So it is important when you're doing the door knocking, when you're actually calling people and expired listings, or selected business areas. You have to really learn about that area. You need to know that what is happening in that area, is there is any development coming, any zoning restriction. So you have to spend time. It's not just get up in the morning and start doing door knocking or open house. Open houses, it's a great opportunity for you to get a free ad, but at the same time, it's the worst place whether you are going to lose all customers if you don't do it professionally. Open house, it's once you come in, when people are actually coming into open house, pretty much people would say that they're not really coming to buy houses. They're coming to see the houses, but that's okay. But your job is to actually get your name up there, right? You also know that nobody is going to walk in and buy a customer, but doesn't mean it's not going to happen. In open house also sales happens. How? Because you're going to actually take the contact and then you stay in touch with them and then you start prospecting, and that's your lead, right? But you need to do that professionally. Like, you need to know that when you're doing an open house, what is happening in that areas, is there is any other houses on a sale, how much is that, like the access to all the amenities and all that. When people coming and asking you those questions, you should be able to answer that. So it is very important, do your homework, and that's where you're going to give that impression to the people who's actually going to talk to you. The second piece of the prospecting is very critical, and that's where you need to master the skills in this real estate business. When you think about the for sale by owners, FCBO, for sale by owners, it's actually a toughest one, right? Because why do somebody actually sell their own? They decide not to go to a real estate agent. There is only two reasons. One is they don't want to pay the commission. Second thing is they may have had a very bad experience with the real estate agents. So they're sick and tired of this. In people, like, they say that I don't want to deal with this guy, so let me sell it on my own. And also people can actually, when you really look at that, you can sell it. You don't need it. But at the same time, that's where you need to educate them. When you do your tax, you don't do tax yourself, although you know that how to do it, but you go to a tax consultant. If your car is not actually working, you don't try to fix it yourself. You take it to a garage, right? So how is it different when you're actually selling a home? You can do it, but then why don't you use a professional person? But you need to be able to showcase what you're going to bring on the table versus that person doing it themselves. So for sale by owners is actually an interesting topic. We will touch on those, but I just wanted to actually just talk about that. Anyone have any questions so far? Going once? All right. And and respond to ad calls. This is people who have actually established people. They will get ad calls and working around your listing and working around your sales. So this is actually basically when this portion is I meant for people who are established and they have already have actually business going on. So that's the two aspects of the prospecting. One is people whom you know and people whom you don't know, right? So the important thing in the prospecting is, again, have faith in your abilities. You should be able to, when you're actually picking up the phone, when you're actually talking to the customer, you should be able to actually answer. That what, I am able to answer those questions. You should know what you're talking. So that's, you have to have that faith in yourself. You have your own abilities, right? The most important thing is be disciplined. Like, do it in a specific time every day, because prospecting, you cannot actually keep that aside and thinking, what, when I get time, I'll do prospecting. It does not work in that way. You have to set a specific time every day and stick to that schedule. No matter if you're already doing a listing or a buying for somebody, but that's fine. But you need to at least devote 2 hours in a day to do the prospecting. Otherwise, think about that. When you're working with a listing person or a buyer person, once that transaction is over, once you get your commission check, then you think about it. What's next? Because if you don't have anything in your pipeline, it's a very dangerous situation. So you have to have every day, like even if you're working with somebody, there should be something in the pipeline. After this, When you open the faucet, the water is coming, right? I mean, so once this sell a listing, I mean, whether it is a listing, you listed, you sold, and you've done the transaction, and you bought something, and it's all done, then you work with the other one. So that happens only you constantly do the prospecting, and that you must devote at least 2 hours in a day to do the prospecting, right? And also, as I said, that the most important thing is, again, you need to know what's your target audience, where the business is coming from. Is it coming from only referrals? Is it coming from only from your door knocking? I know a lot of agents who are successful agents, they get only business through door knocking. I mean, and that's just, it's working for them, right? And it's actually, they're happy, they do the door knocking, they spend hours and hours on door knocking, and then he gets it, he sells it, and he's a very successful guy. So you need to know who's your target audience are. So where is whether it is coming from your your friends or family, or from past clients, or whatever, each individual has got a different a target audience. So you need to determine the target audience and then follow up with that, right? Again, real estate business is, as I said, that again, it's not going to come to you on your own. It is all about waiting and and finding it out, and going and finding it out, right? It's not going to come on its own. So you basically have to have the conversations and prospect and follow up and introduce yourself and showcase yourselves, what you can bring on the table, and that's where you're going to actually finding it, right? And this is we will go through some of the question. As I said that in the beginning of this call, when somebody says that, how do you actually say that? It depends, right? The same way it is practice and prepare customer questions. Like it's each conversation when they, the conflict resolution is one of an important topic in this business. So conflict resolution, it can be whether it is a customer is questioning you about the commission problem, or you had showed 40 houses. How do you help them in actually finalizing that? How do you help them in making decision? If somebody who's actually saw the house for let's say by 600,000, and the cost of the houses because the bidding is happening, the house is actually gone for 650, whereas this person really liked that house, everything is meeting their need, the mortgage and everything is good. The question is $50,000. So how do you actually help them? That's where you use that terminology called the cost of borrowing. Help them in understand what is cost of borrowing is, what does this 50,000 really means to them, because it's only going to, when you really walk them through the numbers, it's only going to add up around $250 to the overall mortgage. So can they afford $250 extra to monthly? So that's where you have to actually help them and walk them through the process and helping them, making the decision whether it is $600 and 600,000 or 650 is not much of difference, right? And your goal should be keep going the prospecting on a daily basis, at least 10 to 12 contacts per day. You need to actually have that, whether it is people whom you need to make that contacts. That's where the 2 hours as you are going to dedicate, and 10 to 12 contacts per day you have to do that. And yeah, I mean, prospecting, as I said that, because this is your pipeline, every time when you open that faucet, the water is coming. So that's why this is a long-term one. Otherwise, once you do the selling or buying, and if you don't do prospecting, like once you finish the transaction, you get that commission check. Then after that, what's next? So you don't want to get into that situation at any point in time. So, this is just some kind of a housekeeping, like you get up at a specific time, and because this is the problem with the real estate is you have to be highly self-disciplined, because nobody is actually going to actually ask you to get up at a certain time and go to office, or you guys actually, if you're working in an office or something, there is somebody, some kind of restrictions are there, you need to follow up that decorum. But real estate business is not like that. It is completely a self-discipline, self-managed. So it is important that you are clearly aware of that. I have seen and coached many real estate agents. They come and actually complain about that there is no business, there is so much of competition. You know what, I'm not getting any listing, but they forget to think what they are not doing it. So, and the second other thing is when I talk to real estate guys, they say that, you know what, I work for this brokerage, I don't get any lead from them. I'll tell you where your lead is. Every house in Markham, every house in Mississauga, every house in Brampton, every house in the GTA is your lead. It's not the brokerage job. It's not anyone else's job. It is you need to go and get up and find out, right? Every house is an opportunity. Every house is a lead to you. It's actually your lifetime lead. But people, many of them will really forget the fact, thinking that, you know, I'm not getting any lead. I don't get any, I don't know, I'm not getting any listing. But they're not actually spending time on MLS. They don't know what is happening in the industry. They don't actually, you know, devote time to prospect, but they want the lead. It doesn't happen in that way. It's a highly self-disciplined job. So you need to be aware about what you have to do it. So, you know, make sure that is you just what you're seeing on the screen, at least, you know, whatever works for you, whether it is exercise or walk or, you know, spending time with your kids or something, you know, have a specific time to do the prospecting and then be self-disciplined. How are we doing so far?
Pretty good.
Okay, that's good. Anyone have any questions so far? All right, we'll keep it at the end for 5-10 minutes for, you know, just as a.
Sorry, I just want to quickly ask something. So,
Sure.
you know, going the door to door, like what else would you take? I know you can take obviously what's recently sold and like just have that with you and see what's listed in the area. Anything else you recommend carrying with you or having with you when you're knocking on somebody's door in case something they might ask you something, or what you typically should have?
Yeah. So first thing is the preparation, right? I mean, if you select the area when you're door knocking, this is what you need to do it. You know, where are you going to do the door knocking? So select that area street. Really learn about that area. What kind of houses are there? Like, I mean, when I say learn, that I'm not talking about the structure of the house and all that. You know, what kind of people? Like you just the demography. Like you need to know that, is it working class people? Is it actually business people? And what's the house prices and average house prices sold for the last, you don't need to go, because the market like this, you know, there's no point in going back an year-old record, because this year for the last 6 months, the market has been completely different. So at least you should know for the past 3 months, what kind of activities happen in that street. You must know that. What the price range it's actually selling in that area, right? And who's actually really active in that area, whether it is, you know, in any other real estate agents or somebody who's actually really active, who's getting the frequent listing in that area. So you should know that. If there is any listing actively there, you must know the detail about that listing, how much it's listed for, whether is it a comparison to that in that locality, whether is it a 4-bedroom house, 3,000 square feet, 2 double garage, 2-door garage, and all those details. You must know what something which is listed there, because somebody says that, can you come and take a look at my house and then tell me, is it going to be the same price as theirs? Then you should be able to say that, you know what, that house is actually a 4,000 square feet where they have done a granite kitchen counter. So you should be able to know if something which is actually listed, because the one which is listed is an easy access to know that, but you have the MLS, right? So you can actually open up and take that information from there, right? And so when somebody opens that, you should be able to answer this question. And of course, the generic things, right? I mean, what's the market trend and how's the mortgage rate and all that, just that information. So it's a lot of preparation one must do before you do open house, before you do the door knocking. In general, when you talk to anybody in your client, with your clients, like, you should know that. But at least when you're door knocking and the open house, it's actually a little more important. That is, you must actually know this level of detail. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and again, you know, like, I mean, there are certain decorum you can actually use that, you know, by knock the door, step back. You don't want to do when they open the door. I mean, again, I would say this analogy always, you knock 100 doors, 99 is not going to open. Don't get disheartened. Your job is to find that one house, right? So 99 is actually, it's given. Nobody's going to open it. Okay. But you are only looking for that one house, person who's going to open that. And when you open that one house, you should show, that's your showcase time, right? So, and when you open it, and every time when you open the knock the door, like, I mean, step back and, give them, because when somebody opens the door, these are small things, but sometimes people make those mistakes, simple mistakes. And then, like, I mean, you're losing because there's no relation with those people at that point in time. So you must utilize every opportunity to leave that first impression, right? So when you actually, of course, you dress up well, and, because these days people are very skeptical, and, they don't know who's knocking the door. So when you open the door, step back, because when somebody opens the door, you don't want it to stand on their face, right? It's a small thing, but again, sometimes you unknowingly make these mistakes. So, and step back, and then you introduce yourself. The introduction is, again, you're not going to ask business. You're not going to say that, do you want to sell or buy, right? That's not what you wanted to say. That you take 2 minutes of that, what we call the elevator speech. Elevator speech is basically you're introducing yourself for a minute, like you're saying that I'm from Home Life. I'm Kannan. I'm doing the door knocking. Do you mind? Are you the house owner? Like, we'll go through those. What the door knocking script in next class. I'll show you what are the questions you need to ask when you're door knocking, when you're doing open house. We'll go through that one. But I just wanted to actually, because I don't want to actually mix that topic here. So we'll actually go through that. What's the script you need to use, and how do you do the open house and door knocking. We'll go through that one. Okay. So ideal time for sale by owners and expired listing, and then in around 8 a.m. There is, again, there's no, this is not I'm not saying that this is the time you should follow. The reason we are saying this, these are the time you generally easy to get hold of people, because, like for sale by owners, it seems like they've got a lot of free time. They should be at home, because otherwise they will not actually bother. Like, I mean, somebody thought that, okay, I'll do it. And that's why you can around morning or noon and 7 p.m. And door knocking is also, door knocking is, some people say that daytime, some people say that evening time. Honestly speaking, I don't know, because those who have actually done that can tell you, and it's also based on your area, because sometime these days it's okay because everybody is actually working from home. So you probably will be able to get hold of somebody, but sometime they don't like when they are working in between, because I work from home. Anyone comes and knock the door, I don't open because I'm on a calls and all that. So it depends which area you're doing the door knocking. And hot calling is basically you picking up phone, looking at why for sale by owners, terminated, then expired, terminated, and canceled. Those ones, when you look at the MLS and then following up with them. So those are the hot calls, and which you can generally call them. Sorry, were you saying something to me, or? Okay.
I believe he accidentally unmuted himself.
All right, no worries. Okay, and then that's a timing for the prospecting. Again, what are you actually focusing on when you're doing the prospecting? Basically, that affirmation statement. You're productive, I'm effective, and I'm profitable. Basically, is your self-confidence. You need to make sure that is I am able to actually talk to them. That's where that prospecting phobia shouldn't be there, right? I mean, your job is to find out who's going to buy and sell today, and let me find that person. So that's the affirmations before you actually pick up the phone, or before you actually going to talk to that person. So you need to actually, teach your brain and then prepare yourself to go to that, right? And you're only looking at that when you're door knocking. Also, as I said, that 99, that when you're going to start the door knocking, 99 is going to say close the door, or they won't even actually open the door. At least your job is to find that one person who's going to talk to you, who's going to open the door, at least ask you a glass of water. Like, I mean, that's the spirit you should have it when you do the door knocking. Again, some of the do's and don'ts when you're prospecting, overcome prospecting phobia, because why people don't prospect? They don't know how to do it. That's as simple as that. That's the reason they don't know, how do I actually talk to people? That phobia, they think that, what are they going to say that? Nothing. You think about it. When you actually go and do door knocking, when you pick up the phone and talk to them, what worst can happen? They bang the phone or bang the door, just thank them and leave it. It's fine. Like, I mean, your job is to actually find out who's going to do business with you. Those are the people not going to do business with you. That's okay. So overcome that phobia. I mean, it is, start with a plan. Like when you do that every day, and we will touch base on the business planning also during this training, like in some place, and the business planning, we will talk about that 2 hours in a day you're going to set for prospecting, right? And in that 2 hours, what you're going to do. Today, I'm going to actually focus on for sale by owners, terminated, canceled listings. Tomorrow, I'm going to actually focus on, door knocking or people who are done business with me. Let me just actually follow up with that. So that's the plan. You need to actually really do it and do that. And practice the script. Practice the script means when you're door knocking, how do you actually answer those questions? When you actually do the open house, how do you actually greet and talk to the customers, right? And the calling list, like, who are you going to call, right? And if it is somebody who has actually done business with them, the detail, their name, where they live, and then, like it's keeping the calling list. And you shouldn't take this as an all-day event, because prospecting it's very tiring, and because when they don't actually talk to you, you're not going to get a good treatment when you're talking to people whom you don't know. So don't take it on an all-day event. As I said, that divert at least for 2 hours in a day, right? And always start with your first day of prospecting. Always start with somebody whom you know, like, or someone who has done business with you, because that will actually calm you down. And then, at least if even your first call in the morning, talking to your for sale by owner may not be a pleasant one. So by end of the day, we all are human beings. We have feelings. So you have to make sure that it's not going to actually hammer the whole day. So just start with somebody whom but every day just spend at least 1 or 2 hours for prospecting, and then move on to something else. And again, these are all some things, make sure that you progress that track the progress, because that's definitely going to increase the motivation. For example, when you do the door knocking and one person actually has started talking to you, that's definitely going to increase the motivation, right? I mean, you know that you tasted that, you think that, okay, fine, this door knocking is working. So it's important to track that progress, right? Homework. So I can't stress the importance of knowing about the industries, like not just knowing about the industries, like, you scan through the MLS on a daily basis. You must know that what is the listing, what are the activities in your Markham areas, in your whatever the areas you are actually working, you have to know that. And some of them, like, again, you're prospecting, the advertisement is an important thing. Use all channels. One is, your Facebook ad, your LinkedIn ad, your Google ad, put something, and of course, those who are actually can afford that, the bench boards and all those, those are all actually established real estate agents must utilize those ones. Because as I said, that is prospecting. You're getting your name up there. It's very important. And when you're door knocking, that is also a free advertisement. You're doing it because people will see that this guy is an active agent in this area, right? I mean, it is very important when even if you put your business card on the doorstep, if they don't open it, if you put your flyers on their doorstep, they'll start recognizing you. Oh yeah, this guy, we know them, right? I mean, that's where it is important that is you utilize all those channels to, promote yourself. It is every opportunity is there. Like you don't want to miss that. And these days, online options are there. It's very easy to tap in. And pretty much all people are actually go there and search on online, like put Google review for yourself. If you have your own websites and all that, ask somebody to put review. Those who have done business with you, request them to put a review. If you have not done any business, those who are new in this job, ask for referral. Like somebody can actually give you reference from people, or talk to your colleagues. Can somebody refer you, and put those referrals in the Google review. So it's very important to you tap all those opportunities, and like the Facebook and all that it will come your business. This is actually slowly you are building up your business base. So the wrap-up point is, we will talk about the creating a database as well. And the next class, I will touch on the creating database, and because that will help you to focus and come up with a plan for prospecting, because database is an important thing. And I'm hoping those who have actually established agents, I'm not expecting those who are new will have the database, but database is an important thing. If you don't have it, start creating one. You can make it very simple way in the Excel, right? Because on the phone, just keeping up all contacts and all that on the phone is not very conducive, and it's not very productive. The reason is, you tend to forget, what did you speak with this person? When did you what last conversations you had it? So it is important that you download all the contacts to your laptop and put it in an Excel sheet in a very simple format, name, contact number, and who they are. And the his comment column should be like, actually put the last time, what conversation you had it, when is your follow-up. Remember in the first slide I mentioned, in the people around 25% will not follow up, but your database will help you to follow up. What did you last converse this person? So what's my next follow-up stage? So it is important to have that database. Is all of you are having a database, or some yes, no?
No.
Nobody is having a database. Okay. No, I wouldn't say that nobody is having a database. That's the person who said that no. Okay. But what's the majority? Okay. So Yasu, can you unmute yourself? And
No.
No? Okay.
I'm hoping that there's a lot more yeses than nos in the group,
Correct.
and I'm sure.
Yes. So we do have a database, and Selva has been like always on our thing that we should have a database and everybody should be prospecting definitely based off our database as well, just to make sure they keep seeing our name, as you mentioned. So we've been taught that from Selva as well. So yes, we do have a database.
Very good, very good. Kudos to you. And those who are not having the database, make sure that you must have the database, because that's going to help you to plan with your prospecting. Because otherwise, as I said, that many people will, I know many of the real estate agents, yeah, I have all my contacts in the phone, which is great, but it's very difficult to keep a tap on that. What did you speak with them, and what should I do to them next time? Because what happens when you actually talk to somebody, and if you're comfortable with that, your tendency is to talk to them again. But that's the wrong thing, because then you become a nuisance to them, right? So you don't want it to do that. So you have to, that's why the Excel sheet database is the perfect way to stay on track. So what you have to do is, like, you have to actually select that, like put it in an alphabetic order, and then select the first 10 in the first letters, and then you start talking to them. And then you pick up the second, and you start talking to them. Sorry, take that line. Yeah. So it's important to go like that. So that's why this Excel sheet is the best way. And you also know that, what did you speak to them? And then you can actually put a mark. Okay, my follow-up time is next week, right? So that will actually help you. So I'll show you the database sample. We will make it very simple. We don't want it to complicate it, because I strongly believe complexity kills productivity, right? So we don't want to actually create any complex projects. So we will just make it very simple, and I'll show you that during our next class. Those who don't have a database, how you can actually create one, right? And as I said, I'm stressing this point. Prospecting is your backbone, your career lifeblood. no matter where in your career, like in the real estate business. So you must make sure that is actually, spend some time in prospecting on a daily basis. Effectively leverage your time and schedule at least 2 hours per day and make minimum 10 to 12 contacts in a day of the prospecting. Again, today's topic is prospecting. That's the most important part of your business. And I am going to, let me take a look at some of the chat box. Okay, yes. Will you cut your commission? Okay, all right. So Rajsan, and like you were asking. Sorry, can you elaborate your questions? Will you cut your commissions? Are you asking? How do you answer that?
Yeah, I believe when he asked that question, you were actually discussing about commissions and how you can be a bit more attractive in the way that you commit to business or try to get business based on commission. And you mentioned that you're going to be actually bringing that up later on in our other sessions. So I think you actually answered that question while it was already placed there. So
thank you, Ganan. And yes, we will talk about it because today, it's a very vast topic as such, like prospecting, and I don't want to actually confuse you guys. We will be start talking here and there. So I wanted to actually the way I actually program this training is specific to that. Commission discussion is a topic itself. How do you actually answer those ones? So it is very important to go through the commission. You don't want whether will you cut your commission is actually, it's not an yes or no answer, right? We will talk about that. And then how to get prospects with so many other real estate agents in the market. So that is actually, I had shown you some of the Arlene. I showed you, again, the competition is not just you, competition for any industry. How many dentists in one strip mall, right? How many saloons are there? How many grocery stores are there? So it's everything has got actually a competition. Think about, coffee shops, the restaurants, the grocery stores, the dentist, saloon, spa. Everybody has got a competition, and they all are actually having that. But what you need to understand is you find out what is the unique thing you can offer to your people and who's your target audience, right? Everybody has got their own market. Your job is to find out who's your market is. And that's where you need to actually utilize, as I just mentioned, you have to find out, from people whom you know, and what's your area and all that. And we will talk about that. How do you market yourself in our next one of this session? Okay, Ramesh, makes sense. Very good. Doing really good. Okay, I have a question. All right, Sue, I think you asked that question, right? Sue, you said that you have a question. So you're there?
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a question? Okay.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So very well. Especially I'm a new agent. You give me a kind of confidence to knock the door.
Okay.
And thank you so much. And I have a question here. I'm always debating myself too much. So my passion about connecting with the community to keep the place clean and safe. Sometimes I go to pond area. I clean up the places, and then I do that like past few years. This time I put it in the Facebook saying it. I collected this much things, and we wanted to get together to do more. So my question is, I'm kind of hesitated too much because this is my passion, but at the same time, I wanted to use this to connect with the people as a real estate salesperson. Mm-hmm. How do I don't want people to look at me as she's doing that for a business. No, this is my passion, but I wanted to do the business at the same time. How do I cross a line?
So there is nothing wrong in actually advertising yourself as a real estate agent. So you have to remember, everybody will have to work, right? People will appreciate if they know what you're doing it sincerely. You can also openly tell them, for your living, this is what you're doing it, right? Everybody will have a passion, but that doesn't mean passion is going to actually fill your stomach, right? People know that, you also need to work. You also have to actually do that. So it is okay to advertise yourself, not even advertising, introduce yourself as a real estate person. You have to tap that opportunity. But again, if you're sincerely doing that passion, I don't think there is anything wrong in that, right? I mean, you can always tell them, hey, by the way, this is my business card. And as I said, that just have that conversation, leave it. Don't just follow up, like don't push yourself. Don't come across as too salesy. Introduce yourself. I have, my actual job is real estate. So here's my business card. We'll talk about that. And then once they actually talk about that, you talk about, yes, I was actually, going and showing homes. You start talking to them about the things, what you're doing it for real estate. So there's nothing wrong in that too. Like you can definitely, introduce yourself, as long as you're not actually really going to push them or coming across as salesy, it is okay with that. It is okay to introduce. You should actually tap that opportunity. And people will appreciate that you're being actually honest and you're not doing anything wrong there, right? Everybody will have to work. We all have to, feed our family, feed ourselves. So it's okay to say that, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I will next time, we plan to do as a community. And then I realized it. One person told me, oh, there's a real estate, another agent. She does once a year. I'm like, oh, that's great, because her advertisement post in the garbage can area. So she posted, and then someone pointed out to me, oh, she does that annually. I'm like, oh, that's great. And then they told me, you could contact with her. I'm like, that would be really wonderful. So
you should actually introduce yourself. So there's nothing wrong in that. And all right.
Thank you.
Harik, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but not intentionally. So you said that, could you tell me where can I get Selling by Honors? Of course, it's from, you have to actually walk around and see, look at, be vigilant in the area. And that's one. The second thing is actually look at the, all those websites, your Zolo and what is that, Purple Brick, and those things. Actually, you can see that Purple Brick is actually a new website. It used to be comfree.com. Comfree was, I believe, actually Comfree sold out. Do you guys? I'm hoping you guys all know about this, Comfree and all that. It's Purple Brick.
Just a quick question though.
Yeah.
But they are advertised by an agent, but they're just charging $9.99 or whatever. So are we supposed to reach out to those people, because they are like, is it not going to be soliciting in that sense?
So if it is a for sale by honors, you can actually, there is no contract. You can always actually ask them, and you can tell them, you can, talk to them about the customer service relationship. Like, you tell them, I can help you in selling this. And if there is an agent involved, of course, it is soliciting and you cannot do that. But if there is no agent is involved, it is okay to take a try. Whether he's going to entertain you or not is a different thing, but if for sale by honor.
I think that Zolo, actually only the realtors can put it in, although they are charging much lesser than the full service ones. And if we are talking about the customer service only relationship, then probably we're not going to make any much money than what they are paying already, right? Because that's why we're not always protecting their interest in that sense.
So let me talk to you about that in the other class. Making more money is also something directly related to your commission. Commission discussions. You always have to put a price tag on what you're doing versus how much you're going to make it, right? Whether you're actually, if you're a busy person, let me ask you this: if you don't make that try, are you making anything?
So for me, I always put in like people pay for Apple and people pay for the Chinese phone. They work similar when you see it, but when you see the long-term relationship, I think Apple pays you more than you actually pay Apple for.
That is correct. That's an analogy is great. Yeah, analogy is great, but you also have to understand the return on investment, right? I mean, if you're actually going to do that, is it if you're going to pay that kind of money, and this is what going to get it. Same like, if you don't try with that for sale by honors, you're not going to get anything. Whereas if you're a busy person, busy salesperson, you don't want to waste time in chasing that. Whereas someone who's actually not doing any business, just wasting time and sitting in front of the chair. So then why don't you actually try that? Maybe even if you're not, at least you get $1,000. So you have to see
what I was trying to say here, what point. I just wanted to make sure that how do we check if it's on Zillow and it's by the owner or not? Because I don't want to be soliciting and, putting myself into trouble.
You bring up a very good point. You know what? When I believe when Gopal mentioned all these other opportunities and ways of marketing yourself and obtaining business or listings. These are just things, some of the things like Zillow and the Purple Bricks. He just brought that up. But of course, like we know the legal stipulations and what we have to abide by, but based on RICO regulations and Toronto Real Estate Regional Board's rules and regulations, we know what we have to abide by. So yeah, obviously, if a property is already listed by another agent, we can't intervene in any sort of way. But I think what Gopal was trying to say is that we have to get ourselves out and about, get active with other sources of information and use that to our advantage. And of course, when we're looking at listing by owners, the only real way to find out if the property has been properly listed is, actually driving around and finding out if they have, if we see any signs that,
Right. Driving around, absolutely agreed. The only problem is if I put it on Zillow and if I try to contact them, that I think it was just a bigger...
Definitely, yeah. So what I really want to state here is, this topic and the conversations we're having with Gopa is a very long term. It's a very large picture. Today is just one small fraction, which is prospecting, and I think this is giving us the mindset in the way we have to think and how we have to articulate certain things. How real estate is a bigger picture, and we're just seeing one fraction of it. So throughout these sessions that we'll have with them, there's going to be a lot of topics that's going to be touched up on. And you know what? It's our responsibility as agents, as individuals in the industry, to pick and choose. What really works for us. What are we lacking on? How can we build ourselves? Even throughout this entire conversation, we've been discussing this for like a little over an hour now. Just the conversation of prospecting. Many things were brought up. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat was about door knocking. Door knocking is amazing. We were talking about this in 2019, and since COVID hit, we haven't been talking about this at all. Why? Because we shouldn't be doing any door knocking during these times. Although it hasn't been mandated by OREA or RICO, it's just common courtesy and what we should and should not do, within our certain situations. So I think these, the points and ideas that we're getting across from these discussions is just going to spark our mind and let us understand what we can do, what we cannot do, and how we should actually think outside of the box. And some of the things that's being brought up is very, I would say it's common sense, but common sense is not as common as we believe it would be, right? So hearing these things on a daily basis for us is going to be on a weekly basis. Hearing these things, I think it's going to really bring out a lot of questions, and it's going to have us figure out where are we lacking and how can we promote ourselves in different or alternative methods. Now, of course, if door knocking is not one option at the moment in time, there are so many others. Social media, and we only spoke about that for a few minutes here, but I'm sure that's going to be one massive topic that we're going to be later discussing with Gopa, right? So I want everyone to have like take things word for word, but at the same time, expand on it when we're learning. I think the discussions that we're here, that we're going to be having on a weekly basis here is there's a broader picture for it. So keep an open mind. Having these discussions back and forth is a very good thing, and it really makes us think in another way that we haven't thought of before. So I think that's one of the greatest things to take away from these type of seminars.
Thank you, Kannan, for the wrap-up points. Absolutely, this is actually, again, this is just a capsule. We will actually, as I said, that there is a lot more to it. Like when you do the open house, when you do the door knocking, when you're actually really finding out, for sale by owners. And as Kannan mentioned, of course, you guys should be well versed with all the legalities and all that. What can be done, what cannot be done, and all that. Those things you should be knowing it. But when you do your licensing, you must have gone through that. So yes, we will talk about the commission side and all that, like a commission and negotiation and all that. Those are all as topic itself as part of the program. So we will actually walk you through all those programs. And one last, I just wanted to answer this question, then we will wrap up. We ran over time. Sorry about that. So she said that don't post your listing on social media. No, I was saying that post your on social media. So Robin, what's your understanding? You there?
Hi.
Yeah.
And then the what do you call the slide number 12. Do your social medias. Don't post your listings. Post lifestyle and mortgage market conditions.
Yeah. Because yes, so listing is actually you can the reason is sometime you have to actually, again, this is also coming back to the legalities. You have to get that person, when they're actually going to post it, make sure that is you get the approval from the owner, right? I mean, you're okay to list it, right? I mean, you have to make sure that is, some people are very sensitive, they don't want to actually post it. So once you actually taken that into all that into consideration, that generally happens when you sign the listing agreement, because listing agreement is the explicit agreement they are giving it to you to advertise the product. So if you have that, yes, go ahead and list it. Otherwise, just and again, if you don't have any listing, what you need to do to just as a part of your advertisement, because you wanted to let the world know that is you're a real estate agent, and if you don't have any listing, doesn't mean you should stop it. That's the time you wanted to put some lifestyle and mortgage rates and all that, so that you're talking something related to real estate.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So Kannan, we will wrap up. And sorry if we took some extra time, but guys, again, make sure Saturday morning, perfect time. You heard how important the prospecting is. If you are not doing it today, plan it today. Start right now. It is the most important thing. And we will continue to do this on every Saturdays. Like you guys have actually really, kudos to you, around 100 people attended for almost an hour plus. So good job. So just start focusing, and it's a great market. It's picking up. So, don't stop it. Good luck, folks.
Wonderful, everyone. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll go from there.
Yes, thank you. And Kannan, I'll be
very good.
Thank you very much. And Kannan, I will be in touch with you. I'll let you know what's our next topic is.
Definitely. I will advise everyone of that very soon as well. Thank you, Gulzar, for your questions. Thank you, everyone that participated. And yes, it's great. Just when we're learning from GoPup, learn with an open mind, right? Use what benefits you, and find out what's lacking on our end, and from there, that's the only way we can improve. With that in mind, everyone have a wonderful day. Enjoy the weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.